Alright, this is Bryce Arsenault, and this is Take Home Lab 2. And my model is my little brother Jace.
Hi, Professor.
Alright, let me set this camera up so it don't fall. Alright, so, let me see foot. First thing I have to palpate is metatarsals 1 through 5. They're going to start at this metatarsal phalangeal joint right here. And then they're going to go all the way up to that tarso-metatarsal joint at the proximal end. So we're going to start with metatarsal 1, it's right here, right there. Metatarsal 2, right there. Metatarsal 3, right here. Metatarsal 4, right there. Metatarsal 5, right there, going all the way to the cuboid. All right, and then we're gonna go to the cuneiforms. So let's start at the big toe and work our way laterally. So we're gonna start, we feel that navicular right here, so we're gonna go just a little bit more down. Here we have our our medial cuneiform. A little bit to the left, or the left of his body, we have the intermediate cuneiform. And then on this side, we have the lateral cuneiform. All right. While we're on this side, we're going to look at the anterior talofibular ligament. So we're going to take a look, start at his, the end of his fibula right here. And we're gonna go anteriorly towards his talus, which is that hinge joint in his ankle, right at the base right here. So, if you roll across, watch, fix your foot a little bit. It's right in here. It's gonna connect that fibula to the talus, right here. Next, let's stand up. So, yeah, get the camera. So, while he's standing up, we have two more to palpate. We have his patella right here, right there. Step a little closer so she can see. It's gonna be right here, right there. And then last thing we have is the muscle body of his rectus femoris, which is gonna be right in here, just like that, right there. All right, we're gonna start on range of motion next. First one I have is plantar flexion. So we're gonna start making sure we're on the right side of our goniometer. We're gonna line up the fulcrum, this middle piece right here, on his lateral malleolus. Put the movement arm along his last phalange right here, his little pinky toe. And then we're gonna line the movement arm up with his fibula right here. So, I'm gonna pick his foot up just a little bit because he was in a lot of plantar flexion just now. I'm gonna hold this movement arm right here, make sure everything's in its right place. The fulcrum's on the lateral malleolus. The movement arm is on his 5th phalange, and I'm holding down that stationary arm. So I'm gonna ask him, we're starting at 45 degrees. I'm gonna have you plantar flex, okay?
Okay.
Go ahead. Perfect, I'll hold it up to the camera. See if I can get it. He's right at about 5 degrees. 5-ish degrees right now, which is perfect because the average for plantar flexion is like 40 to 50 degrees, so you did good, bud. All right, now we're gonna assess ankle inversion. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna place the fulcrum on turn your foot, on this little hinge part of his talus right here, and I'm gonna make sure the stationary arm is in line with his tibia right here. and that the movement arm is in line with, let me get on this side so you can see, and that the movement arm is in line with his second phalange. So plant your foot a little bit, Jason. So just like that. Movement arms in line with his second toe right here. Fulcrum is on the ankle mortise. Stationary arm is along the tibia. So what I'm gonna have you do, Jace, I want you to move your foot this way. We're gonna go back. See where you're starting off at. We're starting off at 15 degrees right now. And I want you, go ahead.
Well, okay.
Go ahead and invert. Good. You got 50. Really good. Watch. Let me pause it right there. See if I can show 50. Looks like 52. Right. I know there's a glare. Not sure if you can see right there. It's hard to focus, but about 52. A little bit higher than average, but you used to walk with your toes inverted, huh?
Well, only my left foot.
Yeah. All right, last one for range of motion is knee flexion. So what I'm gonna do, let me grab the bigger Goni. I'm gonna put this fulcrum on the lateral epicondyle of his knee. I'm gonna flip this around so I can put this stationary arm along his femur. Flip it around so I can see the numbers at the end. And I'm gonna have this movement arm right here. So, get on side, readjust the Goni, make sure everything's right. Lateral epicondyle. Lined up right. Lined up. We're starting at 10 degrees. I'm gonna hold it down. Go ahead and flex, Jace. Hold it there. And we have, let's see, we started at 10. He flexed to about, I don't know if you can see, but it's 130, 136, 137. Let's see. 130, well, now it's on 140, but my thumb moved it. It was about 136, 137. All right, so we're about to start manual muscle tests, and the first one I have is his flexor hallucis longus. So what the flexor hallucis longus does is the action of it is it flexes the big toe, just like that. It originates in the middle of the posterior fibula, and it inserts on the distal phalanx of the great toe, right here. So, Jason, what I'm gonna have you do is I need you to flex your toe as much as you can. Don't let me push it back like that, okay? You can do that? All right, I'm gonna hold right here. Just keep your foot stable. Ready, go. Good, you get a 5. Since I couldn't break you into extension, you get a 5. All right, what's next? Oh, your semimembranosus, Jace. So, the action of this muscle, is semimembranosus, is to flex the knee. It can also do some hip extension too, but we're mainly going to be focusing on hip flexion, not hip flexion, knee flexion right here. So, the semimembranosus originates from the ischial on the inferior part of the pelvis, and it attaches to the kind of posterior medial side of the knee. So if I were to show that, posterior, medial, around here is where that semimembranosus would insert. So for this test, Jace, I need you to flex your knee. Don't let me extend it, all right? Bend it a little bit. So I'm gonna grab about right here, and I want you to flex like that. Don't let me push it out, right? And go. Good. Couldn't break him out of it with substantial force, you get a 5. All right, now on to strengthening and stretching muscles. So the first one I have is the peroneus longus. It originates from the head of the lateral surface of the tibia. So the head of the lateral surface of the tibia could be about right here, close to your fibula, but attached to the lateral surface of the tibia. And then it inserts at the base of the first metatarsal. So the base, first metatarsal, right here. So the action of this muscle is to plantar flex and evert. So let me back this chair up. One strengthening exercise you can do without weights is just a simple. You could do a simple heel raise like that, but if you want to better isolate that peroneus longus, you can do the secondary action of this muscle and evert a little bit, and then go into heel raises to better engage that peroneus longus and isolate it also. If you want to do weighted exercises for it, what you could do is go to a leg press machine where they have the big plate to put your feet on. Put your feet at the bottom, like barely put your toes, well, not barely put your toes on it, but put your toes at the very bottom of that plate, and then get into those everted heel raises with whatever weight you find tolerable. And then to stretch this muscle, let me sit down for this one too. So you want to go opposite the action. So to stretch it, you want to go into inversion and a little bit of dorsiflexion. And you hold that maybe about no longer than 30 seconds for each time you're going to stretch it. Just like that. All right, so we're going to do the vastus medius next. So the action of this knee is knee extension, and it originates from the anterior inferior iliac spine, your AIIS, and it inserts on the tibial tuberosity via the patella. So tibial tuberosity is right here, via the patella, so right here. And so to strengthen this, you want to go into knee extension exercises. So a good one to do with weighted, like a good vastus medius weighted exercise would be like a little knee extension machine where they got the 2 little pads right there. You know, put your feet around it, set your weight, and then go into knee extension with whatever weight you find tolerable. And then another good one for, like, say, body weight, just be a simple squat. Just go down and come up. Down, come up. Just like that. And to stretch it, you're going to want to go opposite the action. So you're going to want to go into knee flexion. So I recommend grab your ankle and then pull from your ankle. Don't pull from your hip. Like, don't push back, because you're going to feel it more right here than when you pull from your ankle. Because when you pull from your hip right here, it's going to pull higher to that hip. When you pull from your ankle, feel it right in that vastus medius area. And you want to hold this for no longer than maybe 30 seconds each time you're going to stretch it. All right, last one for stretching and strengthening is your flexor digitorum longus. The action of this is just to flex the digits, mainly 2 through 5, because phalange 1 has its own muscle to flex and extend it. So we're focusing on distal phalanges 2 through 5 for this muscle. And its action is to flex the toes 2 through 5, It originates in the middle posterior surface of the tibia, so right around here, and then it's going to insert. It's going to go down on the distal phalanges 2 through 5 like that. And so one exercise you could do to you could do a non-weighted exercise, just body weight, and you could do towel crunches. So simply, all that is just lay a towel on the ground. Let me scoot it back a little bit, and just flex your toes against the towel, trying to crumple it up. And then for a weighted exercise, you can get a resistance band. If you're just doing it to do that flexor digitorum longus, you can cut that resistance band real thin, so it'll just focus on your toes. And I'm gonna show how it should be done. So watch, Jace, come see. Hold that against the bottom of my toes, and you're just gonna wanna scoot more this way. There you go. So watch, let me bend my knee. You wanna go, just flex your toes against the towel like that. Don't really plantar flex. That's not the main focus. So you may wanna put your toe or your heel on the ground, and then focus on flexing those toes against that resistance band. And then to stretch it, you're good, Jace. To stretch it, one thing you could do is not really get into a heel cord stretch, like a gastric or soleus stretch. You don't really want to do that. Similar form, but really focus on extending the toes just like this. You're not focusing on this part of the leg, you're not focusing on your calf, you're focusing on your toes. That's the only thing that should be on the ground. Kind of just pressing those toes against the floor like this, putting them into extension, stretching them out real good. Do this for no longer than, let's say 30 seconds each time you're gonna stretch it, and then that should give it a real good stretch of that flexor digitorum longus.